Hello, friends. It's Marie here again, and I am jumping on to talk to you about getting out of debt as fast as humanly possible. A lot of folks I know feel kind of paralyzed by debt, feel overwhelmed by debt. And I just want to tell you that it is completely possible to get out of debt. And the last thing you want to do is ignore that it's there, right? So, like any of our modern problems, ignoring it only allows it to fester and increase and get worse. So when it comes to debt, you got to kind of tackle it head on. And so I wanted to jump on today to give you some concrete strategies for how to do that. In the last post, we were talking about how to make budgeting, how to make your finances fun. And one of the ways you can do that is get yourself a debt payoff calculator tool to start looking at how you're going to pay off debt as quickly as possible. But the reason that those tools work and why I'm kind of jumping on today is because they use a method called snowballing to help you build momentum towards paying off debt faster. And so I just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking to you about snowballing, how it works, and why it's so exciting for those of us who might be feeling a little bit crushed and suffocated by debt, whether that's student loans or credit cards, or God forbid you went and got a car note, or a mortgage before you were ready. Debt is something that is totally tackleable if you use a snowballing strategy. So what is snowballing? Right off the bat, it is a way to pay off your debt that focuses on either the highest interest rate or the smallest balance in order for you to build momentum towards debt payoff. And the way that it does that is that it allows you to pay off and concentrate on paying off one debt at a time. And then once that debt is paid off, using that now new money in your budget to increase the payoff for the next debt in sequence. Okay. So there's a couple of different ways that this works. Some people, depending on the strategy, might call it snowballing or stacking or the debt avalanche approach. They're all pretty much using the same philosophy when they're using these terms. So don't get, confused or overwhelmed by it. Okay. All we're talking about is paying off your debt in a systematic and intentional way so that you can get out of debt as quickly as possible. So the first strategy I'm going to talk about is kind of like the traditional method of ordering all of your debts in order of the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. And the reason you do that is you want to prioritize the highest interest rate because that debt is costing you the most in terms of how much additional money you're owing by carrying it month to month, right? So it's the most costly, right? And so we start with the highest interest rate and you take whatever that minimum balance is, and then you look at your budget and you figure out how much more money above the minimum payment can I afford to put on that first debt. Okay. So maybe your minimum payment is like $25 and you look at your budget and you're like, you know what? I can cut off Hulu and that'll save me $6. And I can cut off my shoe subscription and that'll save me $40. And I can cut off, one coffee every month. That's another $4. So there's an additional $50. So instead of $25 a month, I'm going to put $75 a month payment on that debt. Okay. And you do that consistently until that debt goes down to zero, right? And now you can take that $75 that's now freed up in your budget and you apply it to the next highest interest rate in the line, right? So now let's say that next highest interest rate, that minimum balance, that minimum payment is $50. We add 75 on top of that. So now we're paying $125 a month down on that debt until that's paid off. And then we go to the next. This strategy is fantastic because you're building momentum as that debt service payment, right, is getting larger and larger for each of those debts in succession until you pay off everything. And if you follow this sequence going from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate, by the time you pay off your debt, you will have minimized as much as possible the amount of interest you've paid over time, which is why a lot of people like this, right? It's like, oh, how can I pay off this debt and save as much money as possible while I do it? And so that's what you would do if you ordered them by interest rate. The other strategy that you can use is one that's popularized by Dave Ramsey, who says, if we were good at math, we would have gotten into debt in the first place. So who cares about saving money at this point? Just get out of debt. And so his philosophy is, instead of ordering by interest rate, you prioritize by the current balance, so the outstanding balance. So you're going to take the debt that has the lowest balance, right? So, I only owe $300 on this card versus, $8,000 on this student loan and $25,000 on this student loan. So you're going to start with that small balance, that $300 or whatever it is, and you bust your butt to pay that off as quickly as possible. And the reason this works to build momentum is you're going to feel awesome when you pay off that card. Like, you're going to be dancing for joy, like, oh my God, like, one less person I have to pay. This is amazing, right? And so after you pay that off, you're going to take that minimum payment, right? And then instead of putting it back in your budget, that goes right back down on that next debt for that first student loan payment, right? And you keep doing that because the balances are so low, you can pay them off quickly and you get that instant gratification, which builds some momentum and some motivation for you to keep doing it, right? So either way, it's all about building momentum, hence the term snowball, right? As a snowball is going downhill, it collects more and more snow, faster and faster, bigger and bigger, until we've obliterated our debt, right? So that is what you want to do in either of these strategies, okay? I'm going to drop a couple of links to some of the snowball calculators that I like, as well as a tool for you to start thinking about how you can start paying off some of these bills really quickly. Feel free to check that out. Let me know what strategies you're using, and if you know your debt freedom date, shout it out, because that is a good day to know and makes everybody feel warm and fuzzy inside. Okay? Hope that helps you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.